So now that it's been a couple of months, K-Pop Demon Hunters is easily the most watched Netflix movie of all time, and so inevitably, that means a sequel is already in development. Great news. But it isn't actually going plain sailing. As in the behind the scenes, we are now faced with two different companies with two very different business practices clashing behind this movie. That being, of course, Sony Pictures Animation and Netflix, who reportedly have two very different ideas when it comes to how the release of the next one should be. As we know, this movie has completely taken over the world across this summer. Kinda makes me feel bad that we haven't done more coverage of this movie. We'll probably make an amazing on it soon. Otherwise, yeah, sorry, I was gone all of August. In fact, its streaming figures have now surpassed 266 million views, which is now more than the very first season of Squid Game. This has quickly spiraled into Netflix's new iconic project. However, whilst they absolutely financed the production, they weren't really the ones to make it, you know? Because you also have Sony Animation, who are very much firing on all cylinders. We knew with the Spider-Verse franchise and Mitchell's vs. Machines that they were quickly becoming the new big player in animation, which is kind of nuts for the studio that launched with Open Season, and then in recent history were also a laughingstock for Emoji Movie. Like, what a glow up. However, this movie has been the one to really cement their status and show that it isn't just the movies produced by Phil Lord and Christopher Miller that ends up turning into gold. And this isn't just a successful movie. Sony have a viral hit on their hands. They dared to do a project that was more viral coded and not, thank God, in an Emoji Movie way. We'll probably do a terrible on that too soon. I really do think they learned so many lessons from that dumpster fire. And weirdly, perhaps the Emoji Movie was the most important movie Sony Animation ever made. But of course, we cannot hand it to Sony absolutely all alone for making this movie, as whilst they were willing to make the movie, they were not actually willing to put the money behind it. Alas, they sold it to Netflix instead, who know a thing or two about viral successes. I mean, just look at how Wednesday became a success through TikTok, or even the ability to make something as random as Tiger King a success. Maybe that's its own pocket of lockdown stuff, but still, you know, it worked. Of course, you could also argue that we just see the gems at the very top of a very big pile of content that doesn't get to the same level of success. But with a budget of over $100 million and a $25 million check for Sony on top of that, you better believe that they wanted results from this one. And no doubt, they've certainly had that. This is a movie that calls upon people to subscribe if they aren't already. It's not like Disney Plus originals that feel more like bonus content to get value for your money. This was an event film on streaming, and one that reached far beyond success on that one platform. Because as well as a viral success across TikTok and social media, you can even measure its success in the damn music charts. It became the first movie to have 4 different songs in Billboard 100's top 10 at one time. This movie pulled a Taylor Swift in the charts, and its soundtrack beat all the records in animated movie soundtracks too, which by the way were already held by Sony Animation because of the Across the Spider-Verse soundtrack. No surprises there, and perhaps there is something to say about these big hit Sony releases having strong soundtracks in our age of TikTok soundbites and music streaming. Huh. I'm not sure who gets the royalties from soundtracks out of Netflix, Sony, or both, but somebody's making some real money there too. Hopefully mainly the people who are actually responsible for it. Of course, the spike in Netflix subscriptions they probably got means absolutely nothing to Sony, considering they got nothing beyond that $25 million check. But honestly, I don't know if they were wrong that this wouldn't have done as well in cinemas. It's that combination of viral marketing with the movie available on an online platform that I think really spearheaded their success here. And don't forget, that is $25 million in profit, with all production costs covered, with critical and audience success that would likely go into prestige for their future movies. Despite popular perception, Sony did not lose here. And honestly, their decision to stay out of the streaming wars and just sell their content to platforms like Netflix has just left them better off compared to everyone else making their own streaming services and then having the red flags of that. You only need to look at the stumbling business trajectory of Paramount Plus and Peacock to see how other major studios just haven't had an easy time running on their own service. Plus, let's not forget that Sony's also a major tech company. They've got enough business from the stuff they're already doing, whilst not having Apple's terrifying pit of money where they can just burn cash on a streaming service. Hello there, thank you for making it to halfway through this video. Come subscribe if you haven't already. Alrighty. In fact, when you think about it, a lot of the stuff on Netflix was probably both filmed and then watched on a Sony product. So it all kind of comes together in some way. But anyway, it sounds like the conversation for the sequel is very different, as reportedly Sony are, of course, looking to negotiate more than a $25 million fee for this second movie, and a significant theatrical release, the potential of which has already been showcased. As despite only being out in cinemas for a couple of days, KPop Demon Hunters managed to gross around $20 million in its limited release. Imagine if you removed limited out of the situation and did a proper release with this. Arguably, it's the most popular movie of the year, and it got like 2 days in cinemas. There was also a sing-along release, so you had some of that Minecraft meme edition appeal going in there too, chicken jockeys ahoy. And that's certainly an interesting new angles for theaters, having virally informed releases, and I'm sure we'll be seeing more of those in the coming years. So of course, Sony Animation, whose Spider-Verse movies have collectively made over $1 billion, know they have it in them to make a sequel a theatrically successful movie. Their CV, combined with the sheer popularity of this first movie, could push a sequel into the billions, and they know it. However, unfortunately, they have a problem. As you can probably guess, Netflix doesn't like that idea at all. Their model is completely built around the end of cinema and keeping everyone at home to watch their stuff. Sure, they'll give their flagship movies these limited releases, namely so that they can qualify for the Oscars, which KPop Demon Hunters now has a good shot of winning Best Animated Feature for. So that means it ain't gonna happen. But to push one of their movies to be a major financial success, in their mind anyway, it's a betrayal of the ethos of their business model. Meanwhile, Sony knows from first-hand experience how lucrative a box office success can be, which leaves a very interesting conversation between the two that is reportedly already going on between the parties. I, for one, am of course on the side of giving it a proper release. I think Netflix's mindset of keeping people in their homes at the expense of the cinema is a pretty damn selfish spin on the industry, but also a fundamentally stupid one. There's a reason why both Amazon and Apple have both committed to releasing a lot of their movies theatrically before putting it on streaming. One, any box office made is money that otherwise wouldn't have been made if it went straight to streaming. And then two, the data has shown that a movie that has been in the cinemas first has then gotten better results once it's been released on streaming than a streaming movie that didn't have a theatrical release. They just do better that way. It is a lesson that every other streaming service has learned and adapted to, except for Netflix. They hate money. That being said, there may be signs that they are starting to compromise more with their partners, because of course, pretty much all of their collaborations of all shapes and sizes would prefer that theatrical release. From studios to directors, stars and producers, and it's starting to show. For one, after a limited movie of the last movie, Rian Johnson's third Knives Out movie, Wake Up Dead Man, will be getting a slightly longer theatrical release of 2 weeks. Beyond that, also for Netflix, Greta Gerwig is currently overseeing the next iteration of the Chronicles of Narnia books, starting with Magician's Nephew. And clearly, the director whose previous movie was a mega hit that grossed over $1 billion at the box office went, I want a theatrical window for this high-budget fantasy movie, which even Netflix must see the upside of after teething $300 million into the woeful Electric State movie, which I doubt did a lot in their subscription numbers to recoup that cost. By giving your bigger projects theatrical releases, you just generate more income with a movie you were originally not going to make any direct income on anyway. And just maybe, they're starting to see the light on that. But yes, negotiations are already underway for a K-Pop Demon Hunters sequel, because of course it is. And my goodness, do they have some interesting conversations to have over it first. It's a weird one, because I do believe that this first movie needed to be on Netflix combined with that viral moment in order for it to reach the insane levels of success that it had. Considering its release date cousin is Pixar's Elio, a notable original flop, there is something to be said about the business model here also helping out with its success. And also it's a better movie than Elio. But surely there's no doubt a sequel would instead be a billion-dollar hit if Netflix are able to get off their high horse and allow that to actually happen. I'm just worried that Disney will then see that and move all of their originals to Disney Plus again, with only sequels then getting theatrical full releases. That can happen too. Don't you just love the business side of the animation industry? But on that note, that's all there is to know so far. So for now, my name's been Daz. Thank you very much for reaching the end of this video. What do you think? How would they do a K-Pop Demon Hunters sequel anyway? Will it be cinema or will it be streaming only? We'll cover any more news on the sequel as squeaks of information comes out. But otherwise, I shall see you all in a little bit. Cheerio!